Mr. Anil Rajdan, my senior colleague, Mr. Shepu Gadima, Mr. Nobu Tanaka, Mr. Mendel, Mr. Saxena, again another senior colleague, Mr. Anil Garg, distinguished guests, participants, students, I would at the initial stages like to say that this conference or this Congress, organized for the third time in New Delhi, has been seeing progressively a much intensive and a much more vigorous participation. The subject which is there for the Congress is very topical and perhaps requires the kind of importance and attention which has been given. I have not attended the full Congress. I have been coming in and out, but the few sessions I attended, I would like to say that they were very, very good. They were rather subject-wise. The content was world-class, and I'm sure that each one of the delegates has learnt and will go back with far more better appreciation and knowledge of the problems that we face in the energy sector. The various resolutions that have been adopted and which was read out by Dr. N. Saxena are perhaps a kind of a overall view that is required to be put forward and which the governments need to really seriously and carefully look at. Going back to the issue of the resolutions, each one of them is hinting at policy initiative. Policy initiatives essentially at the government level. And I feel that that this moment, this period or this era is extremely demanding as far as the energy sector is concerned. You heard the speakers even during the valedictory session talking about a global synergy. You heard them saying that that without one another perhaps it is going to be difficult to manage. It is quite true that in this sector there will always be these pulls as each country and within those each of these countries, the ventures, whether they are government or private, are looking at opportunities in maximizing benefits, and these forces, when they pull towards their own objectives, there will be a tendency not to really synergize. But I think forums like this put forth the view and emphasize the fact that the more we draw from one another, or rather withdraw from one another in the name of either trying to meet your own need or trying to make the best in terms of profits, then I think we are cutting each other and not really moving towards a global solution to sustainable growth. Why I say this is that we have witnessed over the last couple of years in this country a crisis coming up in the power sector, in the energy sector, one could say it, essentially the power sector. We keep on crying for the shortage of fossil fuels, and we keep on putting limitations to the exploitation of fossil fuels, particularly when we are looking at environment protection and for greener solutions. We are going through a very difficult time in this country, and I feel that this is the occasion and this is the time for very serious thinking on policy initiatives in this area. What we have seen for the last several decades in this country is working of various ministries, you could call it sectors, in virtually silos. We had, I will give you a small example. We knew that coal washing, or rather beneficiation, is required not only from the point of view of having better fuel and higher efficiency thereby, but even from the point of view of environment and also the costs when it comes to transportation. It took almost a decade for the two ministries to decide how this is to be taken forward. And the main reason was exactly this, that each one of them was working in silos. The power sector or the power producers felt that when they had taken up design of their plants on the basis of certain types of coals, it was not really beneficial to have the coal upgraded or washed. They felt that this was an additional process which would ultimately add costs. But NTPC in one of its plants, I do not recollect, had tried out to see whether what is the real outcome of using washed coal. And they realized that it is beneficial, both from technological as well as economic point of view, to use washed coal. And today, after almost a decade, a decision was taken that coal company itself will wash the coal and provide the same to the power users. Environment Ministry, of course, had come forward and made it mandatory for all coal traveling long distances to be washed. Now they have come up with the latest circular, as many of you may be aware, that they want to restrict this limit to 500 kilometers of coal, that any coal that travels for more than 500 kilometers would have to be of a calorific value of not less than 4,000 kilocalories or 4,300, I don't remember the exact figure. But the intention was that it should have ash less than 34%. What I'm trying to drive at is that there are several areas, whether you take the coal sector, and a lot of talk was there today on the gas side, whether it's the CBM, underground coal gasification, or whether it's CTL that you're talking about. All sectors today require government's intervention at policy level. As far as CBM is concerned, some policy initiatives were taken. I think there are almost 5 rounds of tendering that have taken place. and a fairly large number of projects have been approved. They are projects that require heavy investments and technological involvement. Some of them are now seeing a situation where CBM extraction is turning out to be commercially viable. Some may still have to wait and work even harder to reach that stage. Underground coal gasification has not taken off. It's still in a more experimental stage. Even allotment of blocks has been very slow. There were 2 CTL projects that are awarded, and I think there was a lot of talk with the Jindal group and I don't know whether Tata spoke about it. They also, I think, while the intention of the government was good, large coal blocks were allotted to these companies to initiate coal to liquid projects. But in the intervening period, there has been a bit of a slowing down. We hope it catches up pace once again. Again, all these areas, whether you take the underground coal gasification, whether you take CTL, CBM is a little policy-wise a little better. Government needs to come out clearly as to what the intentions are and how they would like to see this develop. I can give you one example of how difficult it is and how things how things shape up. We talk of CBM, we parallelly talk of CMM. Now we knew very well that CMM is gas which is going to be available in areas of coal mining. It took almost a year after if a decision was taken in the Planning Commission that for areas which are under CIL, they have got the mining lease, CIL should take the initiative for extraction of CMM with the help of companies which are expert, hiring their services either on contract basis and extract CMM. It has taken, I would say that it was sometime in 2012, the Planning Commission took this meeting. At that time it was decided that this shall be allowed provided the distribution, pricing of the gas would be governed by the rules of the Ministry of Petroleum, but the property will remain with CIL. It has taken more than a year. I'm told that now the proposal has perhaps gone to the cabinet. The period that is taken to evolve such policies seems to be very long. And the reason being is that nobody wants to lose their turf. And coming back to the same issue, even within the country, if the sectors, whether it's petroleum, power, coal, non-conventional energy, if they don't move together, there will always be conflicts. It is absolutely essential that forums be created for creating a synergy within all these sectors within the country, and they relate to issues that globally affect this sector, whether it's the oil price or whether it's the price of gas. All these things need to get connected. I think today we are reaching a stage where maybe through this forum we can address the issues to the government, but the necessity to seriously address policies in these areas is unmistakably there. Unfortunately, what has happened in this sector for the last 1.5 years, and which has been given a lot of hype by the media is a kind of a feeling that there is a lot wrong happening in these sectors. The result of that is somewhat discouraging and disappointing. We know very well that sectors, whether you take the petroleum side, take coal side, or whatever side you take, we know very well that the progress and the development and the improvement in these sectors will take place when both private as well as public join hands and move forward. If we leave it only to the public sector, it may not happen. It may not be easy to leave everything to the private sector either. Today there is a fear psychosis which is there because of the kind of feeling that has been created. As a result, government departments are getting very tight-fisted and have almost, I would say, tendency to close avenues for various enterprises. This needs to be broken and this needs to be changed. If we want to be progressive, if we are looking for solutions, then it is necessary that you look at capability, whether it's the capability exists within the private sector or the public sector, financial capability, technical capability, managerial capability, all that has to be seen. And very well said, basically you have got to encourage enterprise. I think what I have seen of this Congress is extremely impressive, and I'm hoping, as somebody said, that we would like to see international chapters of this body be created, and the participation in the coming years be even more intense, drawing in people with expertise and knowledge from all over the world to talk of areas which are troubling practically every country in the world, and where everybody is trying to find solutions. I hope that the next Congress is even more interesting and more meaningful, and in the intervening period we should take these resolutions to the government and request for initiation of various policies as required. With these words, I would like to thank the organizers and conclude my brief speech. Thank you very much.